Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking at someone truly iconic, someone who really defined staying true to yourself in Hollywood, Diane Keaton.
Absolutely. And it's amazing, isn't it? We're talking 5 decades of relevance. She's much more than just, a quirky actress.
That label feels so small. Born Diane Hall, right? January 5th, 1946. She's genuinely a cultural force.
Yeah, her choices, both on screen and, in her life, often felt quietly radical. They've influenced fashion, how we view female characters, even aging.
And that's really our mission for this deep dive, isn't it? To kind of unpack the sources and understand how she did it. How did she maintain that charm, that individuality for so long?
It's like we're searching for the playbook she used. How to turn what some might see as awkwardness or eccentricity into something magnetic and lasting.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Where did this icon emerge from? Before the movie, she was on stage.
Right, late 60s. She was in the original Broadway cast of Hair, which is, quite a start.
Definitely sets a tone, doesn't it? Counterculture, self-expression.
Yeah.
Not exactly the typical Hollywood glamour route.
Not at all. But then comes the big shift. Woody Allen. It started on stage with Play It Again, Sam. Then the film in 72.
And that collaboration, wow, it really defined a certain kind of screen presence. You've got Sleeper, Love and Death, Manhattan.
Yeah, these films really cemented that persona. The smart, maybe slightly neurotic, but always captivating woman navigating city life relationships.
It felt so. Knew that.
It absolutely did. And the peak of that initial arc has to be Annie Hall in 1977.
Annie Hall.
The big one.
The biggest, maybe.
Yeah.
She won the Oscar for Best Actress, which is huge, obviously, but it did something more culturally.
How so?
Well, the character herself, Annie, she was this amazing blend of vulnerability and sharp intelligence and wit. She wasn't perfect. She wasn't passive.
She was kind of delightfully a mess.
Exactly. And that felt incredibly real and refreshing. It created a template for a different kind of heroine. But let's talk about the look. Because that Annie Hall style became instantly iconic and changed fashion. The sources really emphasize something crucial here.
What's that?
The clothes, the vests, the ties, the men's shirts, the hats. That wasn't just a costume designer's idea. It was her.
Yes. That's such a key detail. Ruth Morley, the costume designer, integrated pieces Diana literally brought from her own closet.
That's not just wardrobe, is it? That's a statement.
It's a declaration of independence, really. In the mid-70s, fashion for women was pretty prescribed. Think about it. And here she comes, layering menswear, these structured, sort of androgynous shapes.
It was like she was saying, this is me. This is my style. Deal with it.
Totally. And it became this symbol, be yourself, even if it's different, maybe especially if it's different.
And you, listening, you can see how powerful that was. That personal style, her sort of armor, became this enduring symbol of nonconformity. It just stuck, made her unforgettable.
Proving that being unique is way more powerful than just following trends.
Which actually leads perfectly into what happened next in her career. Because she could have easily gotten stuck, right? Just playing variations of Annie Hall forever.
Oh, easily. Typecasting is real. But her genius, her longevity, comes from her willingness to pivot hard towards drama.
It's quite a leap, isn't it? From that quirky, funny persona to Kay Adams.
Kay Adams in the Godfather trilogy, yeah. Think about that role. She's the moral center, in a way. The outsider wife grappling with this immense, dark, masculine world of Michael Corleone.
It requires such a different energy. A kind of stillness, a weight.
Completely different from the Woody Allen films. And she nails it. But she didn't stop there. You've got Reds in 1981, another Oscar nomination for her.
And Marvin's Room later on in 96, another incredibly moving performance, another Oscar nod.
Right, so she's proving this incredible versatility. She's not just one thing.
And looking across all these roles, the comic thread seems to be authenticity. Her characters always feel so real.
Deeply authentic, yeah. They're often intelligent, yes, but also awkward, flawed, emotionally complex. They feel like real people, not just movie characters.
That balance she strikes between humor and heartbreak, sometimes in the same scene, it just makes you connect with them. You feel their vulnerability.
And that connects to something really important about Hollywood, especially for women, the whole age thing.
Oh, definitely. The industry hasn't always been kind to actresses over, say, 40.
But Keaton just kept challenging that. The sources highlight this again and again.
Prime example. Something's Gotta Give, 2003.
Right. She was 57 when that movie came out, and it was a huge hit. She won a Golden Globe for it.
And it showed, undeniably, that a woman in her late 50s could headline a major romantic comedy, be desirable, funny, complex, the whole package.
It was such a necessary counter-narrative. It basically blew up the myth that only young women could lead those kinds of films and sell tickets.
So resilience, versatility.
Yeah.
But there's another piece to her longevity puzzle, isn't there? The work behind the camera.
Ah, yes. The creative hustle, as you called it in the outline. Her directing and producing, it often gets overlooked, but it's vital.
It shows she wasn't just waiting for roles, right? She was actively creating, evolving.
Exactly. And look at what she directed. Things like Unstrung Heroes, which is this quirky, touching family story.
But also that documentary, Heaven, that was fascinating.
It really was. Exploring different people's ideas about the afterlife, that shows a real intellectual curiosity, a desire to engage with big ideas, not just, make easily marketable films.
So she's directing, producing, she's also a photographer, she's written memoirs.
Precisely. This whole other creative life running parallel to the acting, that's arguably the secret sauce to her resilience. If acting roles weren't coming, she had other outlets, other ways to be an artist. She defined herself broadly.
Which I think brings us beautifully to the core legacy, maybe the most profound part of this deep dive, how she lived her life. Completely on her own terms.
Even when those terms flew in the face of societal expectations or Hollywood norms.
You're talking about her personal life. Choosing not to marry, for instance.
Yeah, for a huge star, especially back in the 80s, 90s, that was a statement. She demonstrated that fulfillment wasn't solely dependent on partnership. It could come from friendships, work, creativity.
From defining family on her own terms.
Exactly. And perhaps the most powerful example of that came later.
Adopting her children.
Yes, adopting Dexter and Duke in her 50s as a single mother.
Think about the narrative back then for famous women. It was often about finding a partner, the biological clock.
Right, and she just sidestepped all of that. By choosing adoption, single motherhood in her 50s, she implicitly gave permission to so many women to view life stages differently, not as requirements, but as choices. To start a family when she felt ready.
That feels like a quiet but deeply radical act. A subversion of the expected story.
It really was. So, okay, let's try and synthesize this. We've got the fashion, the acting range, the creative work behind the scenes, the independent personal life. What are the big takeaways, the lessons for you listening?
Well, we have to start with authenticity, right? It seems like that's the bedrock.
Absolutely. But it's more than just be yourself. It's realizing authenticity is your power. Like with the Annie Hall clothes, she fought for them because they felt real to her, powerful. That refusal to compromise is what made her stand out.
And connected to that is style as self-expression. Forget the rules.
Totally. Her messy, layered, sometimes awkward look proved you don't need to be perfectly polished to be compelling. In fact, maybe imperfection is more interesting.
Then there's the lesson from her personal life choices. Maybe the courage to be alone.
Or perhaps the freedom in knowing yourself well enough that being alone isn't frightening. Her life really pushes back against the idea that you need a partner to be whole. Happiness comes from within, from self-reliance.
Okay, what else? Pursuing your art, maybe? Not just what people expect.
Follow the art, not the approval. She directed documentaries, took tough dramatic roles, even after winning an Oscar for comedy. She didn't let public perception box her in. She kept exploring.
It all seems to circle back to something she herself said.
Which quote is that?
You can be true to yourself, but you have to know who you are first.
Ah, perfect. That continuous self-exploration seems key. That's what fueled her resilience, her uniqueness.
It just shows, doesn't it? Her influence goes way beyond the screen. Fashion, attitudes towards aging, independence.
Her career is basically Exhibit A for the idea that individuality, true authenticity, that never goes out of style.
And her commitment to just keep creating, keep pushing boundaries, even when maybe she was typecast or things got tougher.
It proves that passion, that creative drive, it doesn't have an expiry date. Not if you keep feeding it, keep challenging yourself.
Which leaves us, and you, with a final thought to chew on. The sources really emphasize how her perceived imperfections, her awkwardness, are actually central to her appeal, what makes her feel real and magnetic.
So the question becomes,
how might you lean into your own quirks, your own perceived weaknesses or eccentricities? Instead of hiding them, what if you embrace them as the most unique, maybe the most powerful part of who you are?